Okay, today we will be carving a squirrel out of this piece of pine, and so let's just get into it. First things first, we want to cut out the head shape. Okay, so let's cut a V cut in here. This will be the ears. Okay, you can see I've got a little drawing here, a little rough drawing. I don't even have it drawn on both sides, but I'm just gonna mirror what I do on both sides. Okay, so let's cut it away a little bit so that we can free up these ears. Getting close. Okay, and then let's make a cut here. And cut this across. All right, now let's round off the top of this tail here. I've got a nice bushy tail. Okay, now the snout kind of comes to a point. It's like almost like a mouse. And we're just going to get the outline for now, and then we'll shape it into 3D. Okay, and then make a V cut here. You can see it's already kind of turning into the shape. And cut out a little bit more on this side. Like I said, we'll cut it across after we get the outline cut. All right, let's cut in here to reveal the hands and the arm, and make a cut right here. Okay. Okay, let's make it all symmetrical. So let's cut in as necessary. Okay. Now, we're gonna want to, oh, hold on, let me get this cut in more symmetrical. Okay. Okay. Now, let's get rid of some of this material here, and then start digging in towards the feet. Okay. Make that symmetrical on the other side. Got the hands kind of together. They always look like they're praying because they have their hands kind of together. They're always grabbing like acorns and such with them. Okay. Now, next thing we want to do is cut out this indent of the tail to show the sort of the contour of that tail coming out. Okay. Now let's cut it across. I wouldn't normally do this out of pine, but I have so much of it laying around that I need to use it up. And I kind of like using it. It is kind of splintery and soft, but I don't really care. This piece is actually fairly hard. This is a pretty sharp knife. It's a Beavercraft, and I keep it pretty sharp. I strop it every time before I use it, and sometimes halfway through when I'm using it, because I just do not want to lose this edge. So I am pretty big into stropping my knives quite often, but I'm always using this knife anymore. Okay, let's cut this portion here where the tail is down a little bit more so we can see what's going on. And then, oh, let's actually cut out these ears. So the ears right here, these need to be shaped. Now they have almost like cat ears, kind of. They're almost kind of, not really cat ears, I guess, but, and there's many ways you can do it because there are many different types of squirrels, but I like to do them kind of pointy. That way they're a little bit easier to do. Don't have to make them rounded. Oh, this is a tough piece. Cut in here a little bit more. Just going to show a little bit of these ears here. Got to be careful that I don't cut off too much. Okay. We should have put a little acorn in his hand, but I guess we don't really have time for that. Okay. Now, let's cut down here. And what we're going to do is we're not going to cut all the way across. What we're going to do is cut a sort of indent where we want the bottom of the feet to be. And we don't want to cut it all the way out. We just want to show that it's sitting perched on top of something. And that will be a nice little use for this piece of wood. Okay, these ears could be a little bit better, a little bit more defined. Now, we're going to want to cut back a little bit, and we've got to make a pointed snout here. Because like I said, they almost have a mousy face. Comes to a bit of a point. It's not a super long snout, but it is somewhat pointy. So let's try and define that. I actually kind of like that right there. It's fairly simple, but it's kind of cool. And then we've got to do a little more work on this tail here to round it off. Squirrels have that big bushy rounded tail, so we have to sort of describe that with the knife. It's almost like they're carrying around like a backpack or something. And then we're going to want to separate the hands. Boy, that almost looks like a nut in there. Wonder if I could work one in. Nah, forget it. Let's just cut out the hands here. Don't want to get too fancy with it. All right. Yeah, this is an unusually hard piece of pine. We can clean that up later. And then we need to do the same for the feet. And then we have to define the side of the leg, because they have this, I don't know what you would call it, what that's called, but they have this rounded leg, spring coiled or whatever. Okay. Yeah, like that. And then we're just going to cut it out a little bit and define what it looks like. All right. Remove a little bit more of this material. And then we're going to want to do it on the other side as well. Let's cut out this section a bit, up to the feet. All right. Then we'll put some eyes right there. It would just be black eyes. Not too much definition in them. Don't really need it. You should be able to look at it from the side even without any paint or anything and tell that it's a squirrel. Hopefully we've done that. Could cut this down a little bit more to define the fact that it's, sorry, I think I'm getting out of focus here. Okay. And then let's cut these arms like this. Okay. And then we'll want to clean this out a little bit, but first, let's get rid of some of this. Define these legs and feet a little bit more. Just pop that thing loose. Not to worry, there's plenty more material in there. All right, let's cut out that foot again and wrap this thing up. So, cut away all the pencil lines and define the face slightly more. All right, something like that. Yeah, that's the problem with pine. You can easily split it and, you know, take off more than you wanted. That's why I usually use basswood, but like I said, I got a ton of this pine hanging around, and I actually do kind of enjoy carving it. It is not a good wood for carving, but it is fun, and yeah, I just enjoy using it. Okay, so once we have this done here, then trim this up a little bit and finish up on this other side. But I'm going to end the video there and just I'll clean this up and everything, but I'm gonna end the video there, except for one thing. I'm just gonna throw some eyes on this thing real quick so that you can see it. Oh. This is a terrible pen. I have a paint pen here and it doesn't have much paint left in it. That's kind of too bad, but you can see the general gist of the squirrel. Thanks for watching.